Look, absolutely fantastic to join Darren Chester, the federal government here for this momentous day for the Sunshine Coast and for 40,000 motorists. The upgrade here of the Caloundra Rd and Sunshine Motorway interchanges on the Bruce Highway will see 700 jobs flow, huge road safety benefits and the first diverging diamond interchange in Australia. What we're seeing also is the minimisation of its impact on the BOR State Forest, where the original proposal was for 34 hectares to be lost. We're now losing a sliver there, only 6 hectares. We've been working with environment groups to get a good outcome there. And of course, we've been working with the Aussie World small business owners to make sure their access is maintained as well. They're an important part of this community, and this has been an outstanding outcome for both those groups as well as for motorists. Can I say it's also a great day for local cyclists and active transport users who will see a whole new cycleway system through this Bruce Highway upgrade, and that will mean safer movement around and more active movement around this area, and it just makes sense to make sure you do that active cycle infrastructure while you're doing your big infrastructure rather than coming back and doing it some other time. So this has been an outstanding project of cooperation between the federal government and the Palaszczuk government. We've been taking a great amount of care to get this right, to get as many win-wins as we possibly can, and what we're going to see here is an outstanding project that motorists, I'm sure, will welcome as this area continues to grow and grow. Thanks, Mary.
Well, it is great to be here with Mark Bailey and Andrew Wallace and Ted O'Brien, and this is a great day for the Sunshine Coast. We're getting on with the job of delivering the projects that people want. It's a project that will change people's lives and will save people's lives. It'll change lives through 700 new jobs during construction, improve productivity, reducing congestion, and it'll save lives by reducing road trauma on what has been a troubled section of the Bruce Highway. We're determined to keep working in partnership with the Queensland Government to deliver more projects on the Bruce Highway. We recognise that the growing pains on the Sunshine Coast are putting a lot of pressure on the community, and we need to keep working on projects that can deliver long-term outcomes, the outcomes that our kids and our grandkids will thank us for. So it is a great day. It's great to be part of this sod turning project here, and we look forward to the work progressing as smoothly as possible. And on that note, can I wish the workers on the site a safe and enjoyable experience. They come to work here. Their work will be greatly appreciated by the community into the future, and I encourage motorists to pay attention to the speed restriction signs as the work gets carried out and ensure the safety of the travelling public and the workers themselves.
Minister,
You go.
Today marks a great day for 330,000 Sunshine Coast locals who travel this route all day, every day to Brisbane. I've travelled this route many times myself, and today is a great day because what it does, it's going to represent a day where people will be able to travel to and from Brisbane to the Sunshine Coast much quicker, much faster, much safer. And this is something that the Sunshine Coast locals have been talking to Ted O'Brien and myself about for a long time. We need these 3 lanes. We're going to need 4 lanes eventually, but 3 lanes is a great start. But what's great about this project is that it is being designed for later infrastructure, for later and further developments, more improvements. It's great news for Sunshine Coast locals, and any way we can help get people from whether they're in Brisbane to the Sunshine Coast for the weekend, or for Sunshine Coast locals to commute to Brisbane, if we can do that quicker so we avoid this place being called the Bruce Car Park, it's got to be a great thing for the Sunshine Coast.
So, great for drivers, great for commuters, great for businesses, great for cyclists, and it's also great for tradies who can now carpool and get down to Brisbane or elsewhere faster. This is all about unleashing the economic potential of the Sunshine Coast, and today is day one of seeing this stretch of road. It's been a long time coming, but day one where it gets constructed. So we should all be celebrating shoulder to shoulder, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Minister Bailey, can I grab you first?
Yeah, sure.
Would you rather be standing next to the Federal Infrastructure Minister and announcing Cross River Rail?
Oh, look, I think today is about a day of celebration for this project, of us working together. I think our position is very widely known across River Rail. and we will continue to advocate for that very important project, because 2.5 million southeast Queenslanders clearly need more than one inner city rail crossing when it comes to getting in and out of the Brisbane CBD. That includes Sunshine Coast people too. So we will continue to be vehemently active to get that project landed, because it will benefit everybody. Let's be really clear. It's going to benefit everybody who uses our road system as well, because once that project is up and running, and you'd see a modal shift to some people, it opens up more road space. So everybody benefits from Cross River Rail. We'll continue to work with them to make sure that that project is constructed and funded as soon as possible.
Is it a bit awkward though, because considering the Prime Minister and Premier have been at blows at this for since the budget?
Look, I've never had an awkward moment with the Minister, Chester. We work very well together, and this is a great example of doing that. We will continue to work with the federal government to get win-wins on the Cross River Rail project. Look, I absolutely enjoy working with Minister Chester. We get a lot done in this road space.
There's a report out today that claims Adani is going to be given a royalty holiday. Can you confirm that report? It's saying that they'll only be made to pay about $2 million in tax in the first stages of the project.
Oh, look, I've seen those reports, and look, let's be very clear. The Palaszczuk government and the Premier has been very consistent on this, even in opposition, and that has been that we do not support subsidising an individual project, either directly or indirectly. We've been very clear on that, and I don't expect that position to change whatsoever. I think it's an important principle when you're talking about resource proponents, that they be treated equitably, and that clearly there should not be any subsidisation directly or indirectly.
Does that mean, if this is true, that you don't support that move?
Look, I don't put a lot of store in that report. Our position has been very clear on this, and projects have to stand up on their own 2 feet, and resource projects, whoever they are, need to be treated equitably. And we've been very clear. The Premier's been very clear on this. She's a very stable, consistent leader. I have absolute faith that this government will continue to be consistent and strong and on this issue, and that's the appropriate way to go.
Would you agree that if Adani are given this deal, that would be an indirect way of taxpayers missing out on what they're entitled to?
Well, look, let's see what happens. I certainly look forward to the submission that comes to Cabinet on this matter. It is an important issue with a lot of public interest, of course. So it is an important matter for the government. But the Premier's been very strong and consistent in opposition and in government, and I'm not expecting that position to change.
If it comes to Cabinet, will you move against it?
Look, as a Cabinet Minister, I'm duty-bound to support all Cabinet decisions, but I'm certainly not in a position to be talking about Cabinet matters publicly.
Minister, back on this project, what's the time frame for completion of the project, and what has been put in place to mitigate disruption to people who still have to use this piece of road, to get to Brisbane and go about their business?
Yeah, look, this is nearly $1 billion worth of investment, so it's a massive project. It'll be a 3-year construction time, because we've got to keep all of the highway open in every direction, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that means a longer construction time. So people will also see different speed zones as we get different parts of this project done and move on. So look, I just say to people who need to use this area for the next few years, thank you for your patience. This work is needed to be done. Take it easy through here, wash a couple of 5 or 10k off your speed, keep to those reduced speed zones. Let's all be safe and make sure that there's no crashes, there's no issues around here, because there will be a changed environment. So I absolutely thank motorists in advance for being part of the safety solution that will be needed over the next 3 years, and it will be scheduled for completion late 2020.
Minister, is there any update on the state planning study to upgrade the Bruce Highway from effectively Brisbane to Caloundra that was announced in the federal budget?
Yeah, look, there is a joint planning study co-funded by the federal government and the state government in terms of where is the most effective areas on the Bruce Highway between the Pine River and Caloundra Road in terms of benefits for motorists. We've already fast-tracked that planning study. It's an $8 million planning study. It's very substantial. You need specialists to do that work for you, and so that's scheduled to finish towards the end of this year. So we've already cut 6 months off that, and obviously if we can do it any further, we will. But that work is being done as fast as we possibly can.
You talked about consultation a little bit. Do you think that that the residents of the Sunshine Coast have been listened to?
In terms of this project?
Yeah.
Look, I absolutely do. I think there's a whole lot of, and I didn't cover some of the areas that were specifically picked up, and it's consistently adjusted based on consultation and feedback throughout the design, to the point where we've not only helped the local environmental people, the local business people, but there's also been a number of smaller designs. For instance, just getting across the Sunshine Motorway, there's a dedicated cycleway been added there. We've changed a roundabout to a traffic signal because of safety issues. It's continually been refined and polished and honed until we've got to the final design. And I just want to say a sincere thank you to everybody who's put forward their points of view. It's been an important part of why this project's been successful.
Minister, on that planning study, the federal government's put some money there, and I understand that would be they put in some, you put in some. Why wouldn't we be trying to grab that with both hands straight away and lock those funds in? Yes, you're waiting for a planning study, but isn't it reasonably obvious that it should happen to 6-lane the Bruce Highway?
Oh look, clearly the work needs to be done. The status quo is not acceptable. That's very clear to every motorist who uses it. We're doing the work. Of course, we saw absolutely nothing under the previous Newman-Nichols government in Queensland. We inherited an absolutely zero effort there on that front. We've had to pick up that work, and we're working with the federal government to get that work done as quickly as we can. But that work's got to be completed. Look, I welcome the announcement by the federal government in that regard. It's a good step forward, and of course we'll continue to consider our position to contribute to the solution. But we're getting that work done as quickly as we can, and I think people will be keen to see that work done as early as possible.
Mr. Chester, can we ask you a few questions?
Yeah, probably.
The infrastructure would have been top of the list in discussions between the Prime Minister and Premier this morning.
Yep.
More reports Cross River Rail was discussed. Have you talked to the Prime Minister about what was said?
No, I haven't spoken to the Prime Minister today, but I have had conversations with my colleagues in the past in relation to Cross River Rail. I think one of the important announcements in the budget last week was the establishment of the $10 billion National Rail Program, because it sets out a pathway for the Commonwealth to invest, to actively invest with state governments on projects like Cross River Rail and like the Nambour rail line duplication. It's a $10 billion program where we expect both regional and urban passenger rail projects to come forward and be considered by the federal government for funding.
So is your message to the state government to get the plan together and then we'll consider it? Has not enough already been done?
Well, they're your words. My message to the state government is there are questions being asked by Infrastructure Australia in relation to a bit more detail, and we'll need that detail before there'll be further Commonwealth investment. There's $10 million from the Commonwealth already in terms of that planning work, and we're very keen to work with whether it's the Queensland government or other state governments on rail programs, rail projects that improve the connectivity of our communities. Now, keep in mind this project will need to be a transport solution for the Gold Coast, into Brisbane, into the Sunshine Coast. It's more than just a rail project for Brisbane itself. It's a southeast Queensland transport solution, and there's a lot of detail required in that regard, and we're looking forward to working with the Queensland government to receive further information and establish our position in relation to that.
And have you had a chance to talk to the Minister Bailey about what looks to be a bit of a stoush between the state and feds at the moment?
No, Minister Bailey and I have had a good working relationship. We've had all of 30 seconds chatting today, and we managed to get our suits the right colour. We'll catch up later on this afternoon and have a more complete meeting on a whole range of Queensland issues. We've got some time scheduled before the Transport Ministers' Council meeting tomorrow, and I look forward to that discussion.
Minister, do the two rail projects, the duplication and the Cross River, do they have to be mutually exclusive, or is there enough funds in that $10 billion to be able to look at both of those? Oh
no! Look, no, not a question at all about mutual exclusivity at all. We're going to the state governments and basically saying there is $10 billion in National Rail Program. Bring forward your best ideas, do your homework, get the planning in place. explain to us how the benefits are going to flow to the community, what you've done to capture any value you can from that land nearby, looking at more innovative ways of funding some of these big infrastructure projects, which they are notoriously difficult to fund. The list of projects around Australia requesting or requiring federal contribution is huge. We have limited amount of resources, but we do want to work with state governments, and we encourage them to get the work done and come to us with plans that we can invest in.
Minister, the Sunshine Coast did very well out of the federal budget. We got $500 million effectively, or more than, for the upgrade. Sorry?
650.
650. Oh, there you go. Well, 650. Who's counting?
I can tell you who's counting.
Yeah, well, that's right. That was where I was going. The costings have been questioned by the state, even the local government. I don't suppose you could expand on where you get that costing or that figure from?
Well, the cost
might be a bit light. I think is what they're trying to insinuate.
Well, it's not a matter where the costings are being questioned. That was the amount of money that was available to allocate to more projects on the Bruce. You've got to consider the budgetary situation facing the Commonwealth at every year. There are a long list of projects, and other states are bidding for money, and quite frankly they would have loved to got their hands on that money that was available for the Bruce. So what we've done is make sure that money stays in Queensland. People like Andrew Wallace and Ted O'Brien have lobbied very hard to make sure that money stays in Queensland. That's exactly what we've done. Now the scoping works, the planning works that Minister Bailey referred to are ongoing, and we'll find out in the next few months exactly what we can get done with that amount of money, including Queensland's contribution, which we expect will be in the order of about 20%. That's how we've funded the Bruce Highway works in the past. So I don't want to verbal Minister Bailey in that regard, but it's an 80-20 split that we're aiming towards. Let's find out how much work we can get done with that amount of money, and then we'll go back to what do we need to do next. So it's not a question of the money being a bit light, it's making sure the money stays in Queensland, do that important Bruce Highway upgrade work that everyone's so passionate about.
And just hope that it's enough to finish the job?
Oh, it's not about hoping. We'll do the planning and design work and find out what it's going to cost, and we'll strategically allocate that money to the most critical projects. And it's more required. I'm looking forward to working with the local community, with the local MPs to secure money in future budgets if that's required.
Thank you, sir.